devices by now. We are struggling with some of these spirit boxes, but this is our last stop. So, I only left out 2 things. Everything else is fair game. You can ask whatever you want to. I left out the name of Ann Bonnie's parents. That's the father and his mistress. And I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. Anything else you feel like asking your spirit boxes, let it happen. Peggy, as far as yours goes, we're not going to see a whole lot of numbers as far as EMF detectors. It's going to be based off of the REM, the motion. If you turn that motion back on and ask Ann Bonnie what her hair color is, we have gotten the answer directly. So again, it's very interesting, and it is red, just so you know. So it goes straight to red, and it is very difficult to get a red reading on that device because they literally have to touch the antenna. So again, let's see what happens with that. Everything else is fair game. If those of you that want to get some pictures or video of the front of the powder magazine, you can leave the lot, go in front of those bushes to the left, get some footage. The only thing I ask is that you do not interrupt the other tours. If you wanted to get footage of the cemetery across the street for Sue Howard Hardy, you can go over there and get some footage. Don't interrupt the other tours. But we're going to spread out. I'm going to chill out by the wall because you guys all know what you're doing by now. And then I'm going to give you a few minutes before I start bouncing around. Lasers are safe in here again. So even with yours, Angela, if you wanted to go to the front, just make sure your lasers stay on the ground on the powder magazine lawn. All right, let's spread out. Let's have some fun. Last stop. I want to hear it.
Are you videoing?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be videoing.
I'm videoing.
We're going to get footage of all this video. I think it'll work. Looking for a drink.
Ann, did you kill your baby? Is this recording my voice, I wonder?
It's a question to me.
Actually, I was asking that too. I was not recording my voice.
It is recording.
My voice? Oh shit.
I thought they were crosses.
Yeah, he said they're like earthquake things.
I know now.
Dude, I have to stay with you and film those things. Put it on the house or whatever.
How far is the phone?
Oh, no, nothing. Can't be that far. Ugh.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
No,
Oh. I'm going to place myself right here.
Freaking me out, do it. I could do
do
both.
Huh?
I could do both.
Debbie's over there answering questions.
It's easier for me to do both. Like,
Okay. Fine. Have you heard anything yet? Right, easy, buddy. I got a hard one. So I was hoping like the whole fam would dive in with that with you guys. Yeah, everybody's videos will be silent. Yeah, now you can stop it and then start that. Like reverse gear box. I'm just testing to see if it works. I just got a yes. And then when I asked for the number, might have Mary. Mary, is this you? Mary Reed, can you tell us what your pirate name was?
Yeah, very different than I guess.
Mary, what is your pirate name? Mary, what is your pirate name? Tell me. What is your pirate name? Try it again. I use another one, it's my Stephen Howell there. It's pretty similar to that, but I don't have to use the dial back and forth. It just keeps giving me, and I've tested it, so I keep recording it for that.
Come up with a couple different ones, but they're more for a Windows-based program. So, maybe, yeah, look up Steve Pop.
I wrote down the name.
Right, yeah, and I downloaded this one, and it was in today, and I just tested it with somebody that like I've dealt with in the past, and the same responses came back.
The Envoy, the one with the letters on it, it has the first name.
Right.
What? What do you got? Really? And I also feel like I walked out there and walked out there and I left.
See what we got going on.
Got it.
How does it?
Can you walk to get the car for?
I end up at Big John's one. Yeah. It's like Unitarian, isn't it? Jesse, hold this a minute. I'm gonna get a picture of that church. Oh, she can hold it. Never mind. Hold that a minute. I'm gonna get a picture of this church.
Oh. Now I'm doing both?
Actually, it's too bad. Like, It was actually like cloud covered.
Yeah, he's got a picture of the
Dial-up
church.
to be taking pictures of that crazy moon over there. All right, so I'm sure you guys noticed like there's a lot of tours around here. So this is a very popular area. I am going to tell you why every ghost tour will stop at St. Philip's Church, right in front of the cemetery, the graveyard over there. Again, it's kind of a staple, but I let them have it because it's really their only piece of evidence. You guys are collecting evidence, so it's a lot different style of tour. So there's two different sides to the cemetery. I like to point out that first. So the other side of the street is for native Charlestonians only. So Charles Pinckney, the husband, and Charles Pinckney, the nephew, are both buried across there because they are from Charleston. They were born here. However, if you're not born here and you belong to the parish, then you actually come to this side. Your 7th Vice President, John Calhoun, is buried literally on the other side of this wall, probably about 40 yards away, I'm guessing from. So we do get terms wrapped around Calhoun from time to time. It's usually in the month of March because he died in March, he was born in March. So I only focus on him in March. So, but every tour goes to the other side because there's a sign inside the graveyard that says there's no ghost here but the Holy Ghost. They don't want guys like me going over there, yet every other ghost tour goes over there. So the reason for that sign is because in 1888, a young lady died by the name of Sue Howard Hardy. We just talked about initials with Ralph Isaacs at Philadelphia Alley, so initials mean something. Sue Howard Hardy. Cheesy, scampy, SHH shows up here all the time. So it's very odd. But she died 6 days after her stillborn child. Very sad story, but in 1987, a local photographer captured a picture with a full apparition in it. Again, it's 1987. He sends it to Kodak to try to figure out what's going on with it, and Kodak doesn't know what to do with the picture either. This is nice. I don't have to explain what Kodak is, except for Jesse. Maybe Mom can explain later. You might even know. So, most kids think it's a bear. So, thinking of Kodiak. But anyway, Kodak doesn't know what to do with the picture, so for guys like me, this thing is gold. I am going to show you the picture, but it is cursed to females. That's part of the reason why I don't always tell this story. Females that are handling it are probably going to get the same symptoms we talked about at the beginning: the headache, the nausea, the dizziness. Pregnant females probably not going to have a good pregnancy based on the gist of the stillborn baby in the story. So again, I'm not going to be the guy where somebody had a great vacation and 9 months later I cursed your family. So I am going to show you the photograph and zoom in on the apparition so you can see the detail of it. The only thing I ask is don't touch the tablet. So
We're good to go.
On turn, so let's you walk away.
So again, if I don't put out that warning, somebody's going to try to zoom in and see where all the details of it. So this, I'll do it for 3 by 3. So this is the full picture that he took. The apparition he caught is her praying over her own grave with the baby basket sitting right next to her. A lot of people miss the baby basket.
Yeah.
This is probably another instance where the baby is buried with mom. So let me show the two of you together.
It's okay.
I don't want to look at it.
So this is the full photograph. The apparition's here, shoulder, head, baby basket next to her. So you're looking at her back.
More reason why you should go to the cemetery.
Looks like I'm in a desert. Why didn't you bring it? We didn't feel like carrying it.
It was heavy.
This is why every tour
I feel like I'm on a desert.
baby basket. Even when you zoom in on that
I need a shower.
you can see the weaving on the basket. Yeah, it's pretty clear. So there's a full photograph. The apparition card is right here. Baby basket.
Well, we can talk about that market.
So again, for guys like me, pretty convincing stuff. So now you can see why every ghost tour is up in this corner. However, we're not here to talk about Sue Howard Hardy anymore. We may get things wrapped around that, so the word baby, the date of the death, anything like that will show up from time to time. We're here to talk about pirates, right? So, first, I almost put that right in the puddle. The only puddle in the whole lot. Look at that. We're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there. That's the powder magazine. So, you guys probably noticed the crosses on the side of it. Those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. So, if you don't know what earthquake bolts are, the gist of them is that they're turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, which we have not, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to straighten the building back up again to help with the damage from the earthquake. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So, you guys have been seeing earthquake bolts all over town. It's part of our Charleston charm. They just don't work. The reason I bring these ones up specifically is because that's the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. Which is part of the reason why we're here. We are here because this building is a familiar to Anne Bonny. So it's kind of like using a toy to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle. We don't have many buildings this old. This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all, right? I'll answer for you. So our story begins right in the middle of its construction. So, 1708, right in the middle, a young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She moves here with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a couple of twists in this story. Good. The three of them are running away from his wife. How mad was she that they had to leave Ireland by boat to land here? Just saying, that's an angry wife. So, they land in Georgetown, just north of here. Between us and Myrtle Beach, Dad buys a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to sell anything from that plantation to keep things going. And back home in Ireland, kind of a badass chick. They say she actually killed one of her servants when she was only 10 or 12 years old with a knife to the belly. So I'll just give you that mentality of her as we go through the rest of her story. Let's fast forward. Building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne is stoked. She wants her freedom, just like a man. So she falls in love. Guy number one. Yes, we're going to keep track. There's a hand. Guy number one is James Bonney. You already see where this one's going because we've already mentioned Anne's full name. Dad doesn't approve. He's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, elope, and they get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. Now, when they get there, this is not Captain Jack Sparrow that she was hoping for, like every lady wants. This guy's a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's a coward in her eyes. So a few years later, she falls in love again. Guy number two. This is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is literally the person they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of for your Disney films. So, Calico Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of that ship. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Bad luck. Exactly. Can't put a girl on a crew, so he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew. You're going to hide your gender, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home to hide her as a boy apprentice to keep her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, it's a man's world, I'm a pirate, let's go. And most of us are adults, let's put two and two together. Being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get rid of Jack. They'll vote him off. So Jack drops her off in Cuba. Have the baby, come back later, we'll figure it out. So she has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. No matter the amount of research I found, there's nothing about this child. But she's also dressed like a female, which makes Jack pretty angry. Everybody's going to find out anyway. So while she was gone, giving birth, he actually captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirting with that pirate crew because that's what Anne does. She's trying to make Jack even more mad. So, guy number three. Guy number three turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. Her and Mary Reed become friends, possibly lovers. We're never going to know for certain, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships to come take down one pirate ship, and Anne and Mary are the only two pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their one-bullet flintlocks. Probably because they don't know how to use a cannon yet. That's a speculation. So, they're obviously going to get arrested. As they're being arrested, she looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack, and she says, you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. The word dog will show up here quite often. We had it just a few nights ago, before we even told the story. Judge, his name is Nick as well, so if you hear my name, it's usually relative to him. He wants to see the two men that fought back so valiantly because he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates that wouldn't fight. So Anne and Mary go in front, and they reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they screamed out because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail and delays the hanging. Dad is still here in Charleston with all of his Irish money because he was an attorney back home. And he bails out Anne, brings her back home. She remarries. Husband number 2, but guy number 4, because we're going to count Mary Reed. She has 4 kids and dies at the age of 84. Yes, a very abrupt ending. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates die from in a Jamaican jail. So, I will tell you, I only left out is I'm going to give you a lot more details because you're ghost hunting. Like, you're going to need different details. This, like, yellow wall right here, and grab one of your lasers and point it straight ahead. So, and then, like, obviously you're going to be kind of filming that.
If this is on a certain channel, can you put it back? Because whenever I dropped it, I'm sorry, it went off.
Oh. Yeah, that's actually just the whole sweep along the way then. Can you tell me? There you go. Okay, we're going to
too much work.
Yeah, no, I was worried.
Yeah, just a second.
I noticed it never did anything.
I'm sorry, I guess I wish I would have known that along the way.
Sorry.
The spirit boxes, talk to me. What have you guys heard? Any names, any phrases? What do you have? Nothing? Nothing at all.
Mine says brain.
It says brain.
Brain. Brain. G-R-A-I.
G-R-A. Kristen, you got anything? Rabia, you got anything on yours? It's J. Okay. Any letters coming up on yours, Kevin?
Yes. U,
Okay.
B, C, and D.
Yeah, I don't like any of those. All right.
Mine changed to N.
Did you hear anything on yours, Jesse? Nothing? I know we got a lot of static because I was kind of listening to yours too. I had it muted because we're in this quiet space. So, welcome to Lodge Alley. This is a very odd space. When we crossed that last crosswalk coming down East Bay Street, that's where the original Charlestown walls used to be. You're standing on one of the first streets we ever had in Charleston. So, this is a weird space. The reason why I'm asking you guys for names is because I had the full list of residents of every single person that's ever lived down here. We normally get the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. I normally get the names when you guys normally tell me that you hear Benjamin and John. Here's the weird thing. That name list is not very long. So there's only like 2 to 5 people that live down here in specific years. So it's not a long list. Benjamin and John both lived down here in 1801. I have nothing significant about Benjamin or John other than John likes to give us his last name, which is Johnson, all in the same night. So again, because there were 4 different Johns that live down here, he's just clarifying which John he is. Here's why I think this is happening. We're dealing with the stone tape theory. The bricks you're standing on have been here since 1739. So Mike, I know you were asking me about like how old these bricks were. So that we know of. So the historians still aren't even absolutely certain that they've been here that long. It could have been longer. These are called Belgian blocks. They're made out of granite. The whole point here is that these bricks have been here for a few hundred years. And the stone tape theory says that any kind of rock or earthly material that's been in the same space for a few hundred years can hang on to the consciousness of the memories of the things that occurred here. That's why I believe we're getting the same 2 names every 6 to 7 weeks. Right now, we're in week 7 of that loop, and I haven't heard either name yet this week. So I'm hoping tonight's going to be our night. I haven't been able to pinpoint when it actually occurs. So the other weird thing about the granite is that it's not supposed to have any electrical charge to it whatsoever. It's granite. It's not quartz. It's not a magnet. It's not supposed to have any type of reading at all. Peggy, go ahead and put your device literally on the ground. So Steve, you can try yours out too if you want to. Pick any brick and let me know. I don't want that piece back on, just the numbers. Let me know if you get any numbers on it at all above 1.1. So again, we're not supposed to have anything up to 1.3 because that's natural from the earth.
Oh, okay.
So again, I kind of test this out on a nightly basis just to see if things are going to happen. And he's got his run going on there too, but that's perfectly fine. You still around that 1 point mark, Peggy?
No, 0.6.
0.6. So yours actually went down.
It did.
Steve, you got anything on yours?
1.2?
Yeah.
I changed it to
Okay, the decimal point. Yeah. So we're reading roughly around a normal reading for the ground because again, granite's not supposed to have a charge. I've seen it go as high as 15, just so everybody kind of knows the highest point. We did get some 51s and we had a 70 back at Pinckney Mansion with no electrical charge in the air. So you can pick up your devices. We're probably not going to get anything other than natural readings. So before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, which is why it's called Lodge Alley. We do get terms wrapped around the Freemasons from time to time, including the word Illuminati. That's hysterical because it normally comes up on the Red Spirit boxes like Kristen has. Who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio, first off? Yeah. Second, why are we only hearing it in this space? 6 times last year alone, so far this year 3 times. All verified. Somebody heard it on the way in. I verified it the next morning. So again, that's crazy talk to me. Because again, we shouldn't be talking about the Illuminati on the radio. It's just not a topic. We did get the term Founding Fathers here just the other night as we were exiting and I was done discussing the Illuminati. So again, it is kind of like it was a stretch, but still, Founding Fathers and Illuminati kind of go hand in hand. We do capture a lot of orbs with obviously much cameras, so again, we'll hopefully capture something there and see what actually goes on. I don't like to keep us here for too long because it's very humid from these stones. Here's what's going to happen. Go ahead and kill your laser. We are going to stop recording as we exit on video cameras because we're going to be going through a neighborhood to get to the next space. The next space is another alley. However, I can't take you all the way through it. I've been kicked out. But the reason why is because it's residential at the end, and you guys have all the noisemakers and blinky lights and all that kind of thing. I got caught. I will tell you the full story because it actually is relevant to our last space. But we're going to talk about that alley outside of the space. We're going to see other tours going into it. I normally don't take you guys down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, because it's not fair for 10 to 11 people to try to investigate a small space around 20 to 60 other tours. You guys get my meaning, because we're allowed to go to 20. So we're going to talk about it outside the space. Definitely listen in on your spirit boxes and obviously the new envoy along the way. We're going to stop the video cameras as we exit. So any other questions about like the Charlestown walls? Because we're going to discuss them a little bit more at the last stop. All right, let's do this then. Silence is compliance sometimes. did some running around, dude. Chasing that car all over the place. I'm about wore out now. I feel bad.
It's all worn out.
All right, guys. Welcome to your first literal space. It's a parking lot. Congratulations,
Okay.
you made it. I told y'all I'm taking you to weird spaces. So here's why we're here. This used to be something for the city of Charleston. Pretty something important, by the way. This is the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion site. We're going to talk about them in a second, but I do like to point out for all you Spirit Box folks, once we separate, I will not be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. So you will get your answers from your Spirit Boxes, and hopefully they're direct. So again, we never know how these are actually going to pop up, and it might be through multiple Spirit Boxes. So who the heck were Eliza and Charles Pinckney? They had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. Do you guys see why we look for the secondary verifiers now? I need to know which Charles we might be chatting with. However, the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Pretty big deal for us, but I hate politics, especially nowadays with the whole Trump thing going on. So let's move on to Eliza. That's way more fun. Eliza, she married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14, just so you know. We're talking about today's standards, not the colonial times. I bring this up because her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. You may get either number if you ask. However, she married Charles because her father was over in England. He thought he was dying. He's trying to bring all of his kids back home to England so he can see them one last time. Eliza, I know history's boring. We're going to wake you up a little bit.
That's my bedtime.
Eliza married Charles because her father, said, come home. And she said, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to get married. It's 1744. You don't get married for a green card in 1744 because we're not even a country yet. She did marry him out of love. And she was correct. Her father did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending Eliza gifts to this space. One of those gifts happened to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least an hour or two that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere.
Yeah, was it like on a restaurant or a cafe?
Everything. We have it all over the place. There's an Indigo Inn around the corner. We have the Indigo Hotel in Mount Pleasant. So, indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. That's how we use it today. But Eliza didn't know what to do with it when she got it. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's not always hot here. So when she figured it out, she moves into a plantation just south of here near the Stono River, calls her father over in England and says, the rice plantations are going downhill. We can make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of. That's the boring history stuff. Let's get into the weird stuff, because that's why you guys are all here. Let's kind of go through the Spirit Boxes, and I'll assign a set of questions to each person. Feel free to use whatever you want, but this way you have a focus point. So Spirit Box number 1, you're going to be able to just reach and grab hopefully whatever else is coming out, because yours is brand new. So Kristen, with yours, I want you to go after the children. So I already told you there was one child, his name was Charles. Ask Eliza once we separate, like how many children she had and what their names were. But that's pretty much it. The reason why is because there's a tragedy among those kids. If we poke the bear, all activity will stop. So again, that includes any EMF readings that we're getting and all of the Spirit Box activity. Just kind of focus on those 2 questions and kind of see what you can get out of it. As far as yours, Jessica, so I'm making sure I'm getting names right. So with yours, kind of focus on what happened to the mansion. Obviously, it's not here anymore. So if you get an answer of what happened to it, ask when that happened. Obviously, we're looking for a date of some sort. Pieces of it, the whole thing, we'll take any of it. Linda, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza, back to back from Charles. It's either a jerk move or really smart, depending on how you look at it. Both Elizas have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. Try to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with. Hopefully her maiden name will pop up. Mike, I want you to focus, because yours only gives us like 1 to 2 syllable words at a time. Like I haven't heard much more than that, so I want to stick with yours on the mansion too. What happened to it? When did that happen? So I don't want to like throw too many like multiple word syllable answers at yours, just because it is very finicky. Rabia, with yours, Eliza's death. Anything you want to ask? How she died, how old she was, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral? So again, very specific questions going on with all of these Spirit Boxes. Notice none of them are yes and no answers. So I do have to work with Kevin to show him how to use his motion sensor a little bit more. But I am going to have you guys spread out in this location. I don't know who those folks are, just kind of hanging out in the middle, but obviously we're not going to be filming them and that kind of thing. So we do stay away from vehicles, do not go in between them. but we actually have quite a bit of working room that we can actually spread out a little bit, so that way you guys can all kind of ask your questions in your own fashion. As far as the lasers go, we're safe to go in with lasers in this location. But again, nice slow movements. You're still recording. That's good. But yeah, let's spread out. Let's have some fun. I'm actually going to. Yeah, you're gonna film the ground.
Wait, I'm doing one at a time here. Jesse, you coming with me or no? I don't know. Something's telling me to go down this way. That's why I'm going this way.
I'm sure it is.
It is. Something told me to go down this way. That's what I'm telling you.
You heard that in your head.
Well, in my head, yeah. I had a feeling. It's not that I heard something. It's just a feeling I got. That there's something around here. You filming me?
Yes. Move it more ahead of you.
We're over there. We'll try doing this one.
Wait. Stop moving. Stop moving.
Yeah, right. It's a whole lesson.
Dude, go somewhere else.
That's just filming me.
You need to do both of them. Where's your other one?
Not at the same time, you don't
You say you have them separate. One next to each other.
Not all the time.
Just don't cross them.
Well, it's hard to do both of them.
Yeah, turn the red one off. Turn the red one off.
Eliza, Charles, come in.
Get out of here.
Dude, there ain't no Eliza or Charles.
Whoa. Whoa. You see it?
No.
It like disappeared for a second like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Or maybe it was just like her shadow.
Well, it's gonna be. We'll go back and see.
You see that? Look at the laser. Keep walking. Pay attention to the laser. It keeps like.
So basically what that's doing is it's sweeping through FM and AM radio stations, and hopefully we'll get some words out of it that will answer some questions about our space. All right, bag is very light, so thank you for that. Again, on a nice humid night.
Yes.
So, what do you got? Probably not. It takes up pretty good reception. All right, so welcome to Big John's, everybody. This place is haunted. Of course it is. That's why we start here. This place used to be owned by a football player. His name was Big John Kennedy. Of course, he named it after himself because that's how things go. So, he played for the 1947 New York Giants. Whenever I'm giving you the history of a location, I will always slow down on keywords based on the location. Over here, it's going to be 47 New York Giants. Anything relatable to a bar and the name John, obviously. So, here's why the place is haunted. John used to sit in the back of the bar. He used to tell the bartender, the cadets that were coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. One night, two guys came in. They weren't old enough to drink. John had the bartender throw them out. They leave pretty angry. They come back the next night, and they try to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John sees what's going on, slams down his beer, and goes over and just starts beating these guys up, just beating them to a pulp, right into the floor. A couple of gunshots went off. John got grazed in the neck, but the bullet lands behind him in the wall. John gets up after being the only one that's been shot, by the way. He goes back to the bar and he tells the bartender to get him another beer, get the two guys on the floor, and ambulance. Now, normally if I tell you that a building is haunted, you automatically think of some tragic death that occurred there. That's not the case here. What's going on is the bullet hole is what's haunting the place. In the events that the new Big Johns that we're staring at filled in that bullet hole, Big John's blood is now sealed into the building. People that sit in the front of this bar tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or a headache. Sometimes they can't finish their meals. You guys all get the same text from me about meeting at Big John's. Some of you go to dinner there, and I hear word later that you couldn't finish your meal. This is kind of the heated warning. Fingers crossed we're going to be dealing with some paranormal activity tonight. I can't make the ghosts do anything because they're not on the payroll. So again, I'm going to tell the same histories. Whatever happens, happens. I have no idea what that's going to be. But if anybody feels any of those symptoms that I mentioned, we're going to blame the heat and humidity first. And then we will talk about what's paranormal and what's not. Not everything is going to be considered paranormal. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. All right. So, we had a big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another tour, now you do. So, we all talk about it because it's an anomaly for us. We're not supposed to have earthquakes. We're supposed to have hurricanes. So, the building, Big John's, is allegedly where the first death occurred from that earthquake. The white mantle you see broke off in the front of the building, hit somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. They say you could see his ghost in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night. Now, I said apparently and allegedly a lot with that because I don't have any proof. It's just a great segue so nobody's thinking about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it back up again. So, good. You guys are chuckling and laughing. That means you're going to have a good time. All right, so are we ready to go ghost hunting and learn more about these devices? Wow, you got like an old school light up. Yeah, I haven't seen one of those in forever. All right, let's go see what we can capture with this stuff. Nice slow movements out of that guy. We're going to talk more about that here in just a minute. So again, remember, that's what you're supposed to be listening for. We're not just listening through white noise. I want those radio stations to slip through. In the event that you guys hear via Kia Today or Welcome to Charleston, I want to know that you guys heard via Kia Today and Welcome to Charleston. The word by might actually mean something. We're going to omit Charleston because you're listening to Charleston radio stations. That's way too easy. But you guys get my gist. We're going to talk more about that here in just a second. But I'd like to explain where we are first because we're going to be going through all of your devices and answering questions. We're at the Big Red Barn Lot. This is where we keep some of the horses for the carriage rides. They can hear us, which is why we normally keep those open air speakers, spirit boxes on mute, and the other ones have earbuds because they're super loud and horses don't like white noise. So the history here is really simple. I made it that way on purpose, and it's an example for your devices. This is the same red barn that used to hold horses that delivered milk and eggs to the residents of Charleston. Keywords here: delivery, milk, and eggs. So let's talk about all these spirit boxes. So we have a lot of them in play tonight, a lot of different various styles. It's kind of weird that I haven't had a group of 11 in a long time. So we have a lot of communication devices. What do you think the first question is that everybody wants to ask when they get a spirit box, a Ouija board, some kind of communication to the dead? What do people ask you?
Is it real?
Is it real? What else you got? Here? Is somebody here? Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. So in the event that Jessica hears the answer no, that means somebody's here. We are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. It's too easy and it's too much of a variable to where we can say, oh, I heard a yes or I heard a no. Yeah, we can't prove anything with that. We're going after details. That's why you guys are all here. Even if you're a skeptic, you're here to have some fun and learn some really weird history. So let's get some details out of it. Spirit boxes, I normally train you guys on how to listen to that by asking simple questions like, hey, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we know what that answer is. It's red. So now the word list. Who has the word list again?
I've got it.
All right, so let's say Linda, obviously she's looking and the rest of you are listening in, but you're using song lyrics and DJs to convey a message back to us. The word red might not be available to a DJ or song lyric to be able to convey back to us. So fire truck, blood, heart. Those three things are specifically red. I would take that as an acceptable answer. However, most of the night, because I mean we've got like what, 15 devices out here working, There's going to be some kind of verifier that's actually going to verify what's actually going on. Another example. Let's say Linda's word list has the word art on it. It doesn't mean anything over here by itself.
Radio.
But who else? Rabia, actually, here's number 40. So, together, Art Faircloth was number 40 on St. John's team.
Is this muted
Should
or
I
no?
mute it or no?
Yeah, I would go ahead and mute it, because again, the ponies will start kicking that wall and scare the bejesus out of all of us.
Okay.
Because metal walls by hooves is not fun. Like, it is loud. So, again, putting Art and the number 40 together, that could be a teammate of Big John's Art Faircloth number 40. So you guys can kind of see where we're going to be piecing all these puzzles together. This is more of an escape room than it is a ghost tour. Because again, it's about piecing it together, and I will be withholding information purposely throughout the night, so that way you guys all have a genuine experience. Let's talk about these cameras. I guess spirit boxes. Do you guys have further questions on what you're listening for and how this is actually going to go down?
So will we tell you though, like if I hear something?
So you're gonna at the next space, you're gonna see me bouncing around from person to person, so that way I can be writing down notes from each specific person. Otherwise, you guys are all gonna be bombarding me. Yeah, kind of mentality.
I'm afraid I would forget.
It's okay. That's why the two of you are working together.
Okay.
So, Kristen, do you have a good gist on how you're gonna be listening in on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, the funny thing is I normally use, if you hear Drop It Like It's Hot, the song, I want to know that you heard Drop It Like It's Hot. It could mean that there was a fire in that location. So, kind of see how we're piecing these clues together. All right, cameras. So, Steve, with your camera, so thermal imaging, you're going to try to do two things. I guess let me start with all three cameras first, because we do have three different cameras running. We will be in spaces like this where there will be parked cars or people walking by. We don't film people. We don't film people's cars. So, again, people get a little weirded out like that because they don't know what the hell we're doing. Yeah. So, again, kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But with your camera, Steve, I want you to try to keep one of us in view. The reason being, we're going to be the warmest thing out here. That's why I make that joke at the beginning, so we kind of have that in the back of our brains. It's easier to find a cold spot when we have a hot spot. The other thing is keep the sky out, if you can. Some places that'll be impossible. That blue dot that's bouncing around will default to the sky because there's no surface. So again, if you can, keep the sky out of view. So nice slow movements. It's much easier to watch a video when it's actually nice and slow. Jesse and Angela, let's get you guys going on your lasers. Angela, point one of your lasers down on the ground for me. So when you guys are actually doing the video, Jesse, you don't want to be looking down at it because we already know what the green circle looks like. You almost want to take a step backwards because we're looking for things in here. You kind of see where we're going with that? Yeah. So you guys will be moving nice and slow, so if something goes by real fast, we'll be able to capture it on the video because you two were moving slow together. So lasers also set off car alarms, no pressure at all on the lasers. I know, I put out that laser law piece and now I'm telling you that they set off car alarms.
Great.
I know, right? So the easiest thing to do is always make sure that the piece of the laser is touching your foot. So that way you know they're in control. So that way you can kind of keep an eye on both of them. You can use them together if you'd like. Don't cross the streams. I know it's a bad Ghostbuster joke, but it does work here. You don't know the Ghostbuster joke?
No, but I mean, like, you could do both together, you're saying?
You can, but side by side. So if you put them together, it's pointless because then you just created one giant grid. But right there would be perfect.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Gotcha. All right. So I think the only other person that I need to work with, where did I hand the millimeters? Kevin, you have that. We're going to talk about that at our next space. Are you guys ready to get away from football players and ponies? Because I am. Let's talk about some history. Yes. All right, let's head over this way. Let's go up. Yeah, what is going on? That was is there electric on? No, nothing. So you got about a 15 on there. Yeah, I felt something.
We all have spirits with it every night, so.
You guys, how old are you, Jesse? 12. You guys are going to all see the perspective of a 12-year-old when you get your video back tomorrow morning. Okay. So you're going to handle this just by the handle right here. It's super easy. So there you go. That one's going to go to you. Just so I actually get all of the accessories to the right person, because the way this is kind of set up, this is the only one that actually needs an accompanying person to work along with them. This is the neuralizer for Men in Black. None of you are going to remember a thing by the time we're done. See, there I got jokes. So Kevin's back there like, yeah, let me see what he's got now. Lasers.
Oh, that's
We're going to
cool.
be using lasers because these guys show up in Jesse's camera like a Christmas tree. So the reason why we're using these is because you can't see the lasers until something actually passes through it. So the whole point here is that if we do capture something on the camera, I'm able to give you the still to show you what we caught. We're going to be using two styles of lasers. This one has a red grid on it. The reason for the grid is if we capture something in that camera in the middle of this one, then I can put it in 3D software and give you a full 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So again, this guy is super exciting. I've had it for about a year now. However, the 3D software has yet to be able to take any of our findings. It's always been just a hair too blurry. So both lasers always go to an adult. So because you guys have the accompanying person, that's going to be you. Lasers always stay on the ground. So that way when you're pointing them, they're going to stay on the ground unless you directly otherwise, because there is a laser law in Charleston.
How did you turn it on again?
So this guy actually has a button right here, and you have to hold that one. This one has a light switch. So once you turn it on, it stays on. So you have to be careful where you're pointing it until you turn it off.
Okay, and you like put it on from now?
Not right now. We're going to talk more about that at the next location.
Okay.
All right, let's get into spirit boxes, because that's usually the most exciting thing, right? Spirit boxes. Spirit boxes are going to be a way for us to communicate with the dead. So, you guys have all seen the TV shows, correct? This is normally the white noise. Zach Bagans will tell you what he thinks he heard in the middle of the TV screen, so that way he's trying to convince you of the exact same thing. We're going to be doing that in real time, along with, we're going to be using a little bit of a different method. That white noise and the disembodied voices that they capture on TV are a rarity. I told you we caught a disembodied voice last night, which was super exciting, but I only capture about 3 to 4 of those a year, not 12 per episode. So again, that's just not how that works. So I do have these slowed down on purpose. I do want us to listen for the radio chatter to come through. Song lyrics, DJs, commercials. The reason for that is normally a 50-50 shot that we get tied to the location of where we are, a person in history we're talking about, or even something going on with one of you. It happens all the time. So, with that said, this one's going to record because, you guys still with it? Am I getting names right? Kristen. Okay, I promise. Thank you for correcting me. Kristen's going to have an earbud in. She's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. But this one is recording. You're all going to get the recording back tomorrow morning. I'll be writing down whatever Kristen hears in real time on top of whatever spot checks I do tomorrow morning. So you're going to kind of have a double whammy before you even get started with listening to it. So here, Wax is gross, Kristen. You get to keep the earbuds. I don't want them back. So you have to undo the twist tie for that, and your volume is the wheel of the tank. So make sure it's turned all the way down, so that way you don't get blasted in the ear when you pump it in. Let's see. Rabia, you're going to get the second one like this, but it's not going to record. So I'm going to be relying on you in real time so I can write whatever you're hearing in real time. The reason I don't record both of them is because if I'm recording 4 hours of white noise and I give it back to you, somebody's going to hunt me down and kill me. Like, there's a lot going on. Watch your lasers. There is a laser line in Charleston.
You missed that. You missed it. Yeah.
If we flash a car, I'm getting arrested.
Yeah,
so
it has to be down on the
goes.
ground the whole time.
So, Rabia, the same thing. Earwax is gross. Your volume button is the wheel as well, so I'm making sure it's turned all the way down, so that way you don't get blasted in the ear, so get used to how that guy sounds. The next spirit box. This one we don't have to listen to. This one is actually going to give us words from time to time in the center of the screen. This would replace an oculus of what you guys would normally see on your TV shows. So, in a nutshell, this guy is going to save all of those words and phrases to a list with timestamps. It helps direct me on where to watch your videos, where to listen to spirit box recordings, and all of that to see if we can tie things up. Now, this is a phone app. 80% of this is going to be garbage. It's not going to be relevant at all, but I do give you the full list back and always highlight things that are relevant to our space, a person, one of you. Same principle as all of the other spirit boxes. Last night we had 76 terms. That's about average for a 2-hour time frame. We are going to start off with the number 8. So, Linda, I think I'm going to go with you on this one. That one's nice and easy. I don't want to see any words popping up. I will come to you when I want to see the list. You and I will go through it together. Otherwise, we'll be out here till like 4 in the morning.
So don't make any comments about what you think.
Well, she doesn't have anything that's recording.
It won't record.
It's not recording anything.
It's just going to give
She
you
can make all the
words.
comments all she wants to. Not going to bother me, no. So the next spirit box works completely different than all the others. It's going to sweep through both the FM and AM radio stations at the same time. So basically, in a nutshell, it's going to try to take out the white noise that the red spirit boxes that Kristen and Rabia are listening to and only give us words. So with this one, we only capture about 10 to 12 terms that actually pop out of this guy. So Mike, I think I'm going to go with you on this one because everybody gets something.
I have the laser thing.
So unless, so both lasers normally go to one person.
Oh, I didn't know I was doing both.
Oh yeah, I'm double fisting you on that.
I
one.
got you.
You're all over.
All right, I got you.
All right, so Mike, the only thing you need to worry about is how to hold it.
Yeah.
This is the front, obviously with all the lights. Blinkers are at the top. On the right is a mute button. It is on mute right now because we're going to be near some ponies soon. They don't like the white noise in case
The
it
left
does slip
if I'm
through.
aiming it?
Yeah, so you'd be looking at it like this because your speaker's here.
I'm looking at that right now.
On your right-hand side will be a
Okay.
mute. It's the only button there.
All right.
So that way you guys can all have a communication. That way you guys can all hear something coming out of a spirit box. That's why I always do the open box that way. Let's see. You're going to get my brand new device.
Oh, lucky me.
So,
Yeah, no.
this guy, this guy is going to have all of the letters on the screen, and it's going to move a cursor. Any type of electromagnetic field spike, it's going to stop that cursor to give us a letter. The hope here is that we're going to be able to spell things out or have an anagram or initials. Who knows what's going to pop out of the sky. I've only had it for about a week because it's literally brand new to the market. So again, it's only been out for about 2 months. We've gotten very little out of this guy in the past week. I'm just being honest with you, so you seem very excited. I'm hoping that your energy is going to actually help it perform. So, again, I will keep up with you on where the letters are coming through so that we don't
So I
screen
just hold
everything.
it.
That's it. I've already got a preset for you. What else is in the Santa Claus bag? I know, I can go on all night, right? The last spirit box. Which party does not have a spirit box? I guess I'll have a spirit box.
Other people that don't have any.
Okay. Yeah, I try to make sure there's at least one spirit box in every
Is
single
that a
party.
spirit box?
Yes.
That is true about. Yeah.
Alright, so you guys can actually work on this one together. So you are Jessica, correct?
I am.
Aha, see? I'll get you two mixed up. That's where I'm going to go a little nuts. Your spirit box is also open air, so that way the two of you can listen in on it together. This is an older style spirit box, so the earbud thing doesn't work with this guy. So I attached a ball speaker. Your volume is on the right-hand side. You hold up the little roll button to get some volume, and hold it down to turn it down when I'm talking to the whole group. So kind of get a feel for where that button is. It's on the ball speaker. All right, you guys have all seen these on TV, right? So these are the K2 electromagnetic field meters. So these are pretty much a must-have when we're doing any kind of investigation, only because I use these to debunk. So I want to know where the parking meters are, electrical wires, those kind of things. This has a very low measurement tool on it, so again, it always looks very exciting when it's on television. So with that said, because this job is so easy, and the only thing I'm going to want to know out of this is what colors you're actually seeing out of it, I'm giving you a secondary job. So you're going to be taking hundreds and hundreds of photographs for us. However, I don't normally hand this to kids because they don't know what it is. It's a digital camera. There's no flash on this guy on purpose. The reason why is I don't want any false positives coming out of it. So the nice thing is because you have two simple jobs, you can also help Kristen with listening in. She's going to have another earbud, so that way you guys can actually work together on that spirit box. So two very simple jobs. Whenever colors pop up, I'll ask you to go on with it. So the button is obviously the biggest one on the right. If it shuts off, the power is right next to it. Nice easy jobs, but again, you got three things you're working with over there. Last but not least, Kevin.
Yes.
You're going to be my multitasker. Yeah, I figure you got lots of energy going on, so I figured you'd be kind of bouncing around. This also has an electromagnetic field meter in it, but yours is going to be digital, a little bit more accurate. So we use this one to actually try to find things after we kind of debunk things with the other one. 2.5 and higher, I want to know what's going on. That would be his second dot. The bottom is ambient temperature. So in the event Steve actually finds something on his camera, you and I can debunk it with the probe right here at the top, whether it's a cold spot or if it's from something man-made. Last but not least, it has a motion sensor on it. In the event something gets close to the antenna, it's gonna go off. I'm not touching it, just so you know. I'm touching it now. Different colors, different tones. You and I will talk about those colors and tones at our first stop that we'll use it. So again, hang on to that, get used to how the red numbers move around, and we will talk at our next 2 stops away. Everybody's geared up, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jesse's in charge. Go have fun. Let me know what happens. See? Caught you guys off guard. Like I'm not coming along.
He's like, what do I do?
I'm just listening.
You'll be listening in on it. So,
And I don't turn these on yet, right?
not yet.
Okay, you'll tell me when?
Right. We're going to
Okay.
talk more about all of these devices at our next stop. But there's a
Okay.
reason why we start here.
Okay.
So, I know you kind of missed a lot of what the
When
spirit
do I
boxes
get
were.
there?